This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Lake County, Florida, from November the 6th of 2015. The witness states that he was driving south on State Road 19 while his wife was sleeping in the passenger seat and that another couple was sleeping in the camper on the back of the truck as they were returning from a fishing trip. The witness says that he was doing around 70 miles an hour, that he also had his bright lights on, and that there wasn't much traffic on the road that night. Now, this is when the witness says that he spotted movement to the right near a power pole. As it stepped more out of the woods and closer to the road, the witness says that he saw a very tall and bipedal creature moving towards the street. Once it was about 5 feet from the road, the creature stopped and turned to the right, going back into the woods. Now, this is when the witness says he slammed on his brakes, and while doing so, that he woke up the rest of the passengers. Then he says that he explained to them what he had seen, saying that he wanted to get out and look for it, or at least for some kind of evidence that this creature was here. But none of the passengers wanted to get out and look. Now, the witness described this biped as being 8 to 9 feet tall, while being very thin, like it was malnourished, saying that the hair looked to be about 2 inches long, that it appeared to be shorter than that of a bear's. He said that its fur looked to be orangey yellow, kind of like a Labrador retriever in color, that the head was rounded with no sign of a neck. Now, he also said that the face seemed to be more like a orangutan's than anything else that he knows of, that its eyes seemed to be dark. Now, the nose didn't look human at all, but more like a gorilla's would have. Now, this sighting was close to a national forest, where the forest ends or begins, I guess, whichever way you look at it, near Door Road. So, what do you think this witness saw that night? Drop me a comment and let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all our newest videos. This sighting happened in Morgan County, Alabama, in August of 2012. The witness states that he was kayaking down a creek and that it was in the middle of the day. He said that this creek was deep in places and shallow in others, making for a good kayaking trip. He also said that he was used to seeing deer and turkey on his trips kayaking down this creek. Now he says when he came around a curve in the stream that he heard a splash in front of him. Thinking it was a fish jumping, he didn't pay it much attention. But then there were three more splashes, and he saw the last splash was made by a rock. When he looked into the direction of where the rock had came from, that's when he saw the creature. It was sitting on its knees like a human would. Now he says that the creature stood up. He says that when it stood up, that the hair on the back of his neck also stood up. They made eye contact for about 30 seconds, then it turned and ran into the woods. He said that he could hear it running through the woods, and that he has heard people and other things running through the woods before, but that it was different than anything he had heard before. That this creature didn't bother dodging brush and stuff that was in its way, that it just went right through it. He says that the creature appeared to be 7 foot tall and weigh about 400 pounds. It had wide shoulders, about 3, maybe 3.5 feet wide, while the hair on the creature was a mix of black and gray, with the hair being 4 to 5 inches long, while being matted with mud and other things. He said that it also had an odor of fish and mildew, with the head being conical in shape. Its nose was almost flat to its face. It appeared to be stocky with little or no neck. The witness says after seeing this, he headed back to his truck, and that later that night he went to where he had seen this creature. That he did some howls and knocks, and only getting knocks back. They were from a good distance off, but he did get knocks back. So what do you think the witness saw that day? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Cass County, Texas, from August the 10th of 2004. The witness states that he was driving on Highway 59 going into Atlanta, Texas. He is a truck driver and he drives this route at least twice a week. It's a midnight run, he says, so it was late, 1:30, maybe around 1:50 when the sighting happened, and that he was the only one on the road that he could see. He says that he came to an S curve, and that this curve went to the right and then swerved back to the left. He says he made the first curve, and when he was coming out of the second curve is when he saw a creature, or as he put it, a huge beast just stepping over a 6-strand barbed wire fence. Now this is when he says he slammed on his brakes, that he was stunned and scared to death of what he was seeing. He says that this was no man and that he was sure it wasn't a damn bear either, saying that this creature had to be at least 8 to 8.5 feet tall and that this thing weighed at least 500 pounds. The witness says that he weighs 230 pounds and that this creature was at the very least double his size, saying that the creature's hair was a very dark brown and that it wasn't as long as he thought it would have been, that the hair was maybe 6 to 8 inches long. Now he said that the hair on this creature's chest and abdomen wasn't as thick as the rest of the creature. He says that he could see its eyes, nose, and mouth, and that there wasn't much hair there either. As he said before, when he first seen this creature, it was stepping over a 4-foot fence, and from what he could tell, it was easy for this thing. He says that the creature saw him, but didn't run away. It just turned its head and started walking down the fence line. He watched it for about a minute, and he says he knows he should have watched it longer, but that he was freaking out and scared, so he just drove on into Atlanta. The general area is indeed one that fits within what is thought to be a typical southern Sasquatch habitat, with creeks, marshes, and thick woods that surround the location of the sighting. So what do you think the witness saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all our newest videos. This sighting comes out of Jefferson County, Alabama, from October the 2nd of 2013. The witness states that he was fishing in the dark and that about 15 minutes after getting a line in the water, he heard what he thought was two big animals fighting off in the woods, but at a good distance away. He says for about 30 minutes he could hear them running left to right about 60 yards each way as they were working their way towards the witness. Now that the creatures was getting closer, the witness started to hear the sounds of tree limbs and branches being broke as they were moving through the area, which was followed by loud growling and howling, which surprised the witness. He knew at this point it wasn't deer or some people out there. Once the witness could tell that the creatures was down in the clearing on the other side from where he was, he turned on his spotlight to see what has been making all this noise. When the light illuminated the left side of two 7 to 7.5 foot tall creatures, they were bipedal and facing the same direction. They both had dark skin and fur. He states their shoulders were very wide and that they both had large buttocks and large hands. They were also very lean and muscular. He says you could see the muscles in action as they moved. Both turned and sprinted away, straight up the hill as fast as they could. They were as fast as deer running back up the hill, he said. They quickly went back into the forest, and that the witness could hear them still running after he lost sight of them. The witness said he reeled in his post and got the hell out of there, and that he won't be going back there alone anymore. So what do you think the fisherman saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Next sighting comes out of Lemire County from September 22nd of 2009. The witness states that he had went to visit his brother in Boulder, Colorado from September 19th to September 26th. His brother has a cabin on Crystal Lake near Red Feather, with the elevation being above 8,500 feet. The witness states they were at the cabin from Sunday, but couldn't do any trout fishing due to the constant snowing. For 2.5 days it snowed. When Tuesday morning came around, the witness was looking out the front door, but again, snow. When he noticed something black and walking upright, heading for the aspen trees. He thinks it was startled by a pickup truck coming down a small dirt road. Then he asked his brother to look at this thing through his field glasses. I wonder if he meant binoculars in that case. I've just never used that term, field glasses, before. Anyway, back to the sighting. Now, he states that the creature looked to be at least 7 to 8 feet tall and weigh at around 350 to 400 pounds. After the sighting, they went out and took a look where they had seen the creature. They found footprints and didn't have a tape to measure, so they found a yardstick. They measured them. The footprints were 17.5 inches long and 6.5 inches wide. They tried to track this creature till the heavy snow covered up the tracks. In a later interview, the man said that the shoulders were at least 3 feet wide and a narrowing waist, maybe down to 2 feet or so. The face they thought was more like a orangutan. They said its mouth looked wide but with very thin lips. The animal had a big head and a high forehead, kind of like a gorilla, they stated. Its cheeks was puffed and it had a wide flat nose, not pointy like a human's nose. That its nostrils pointed down like most humans. And they said it had no facial hair that could be seen. Now the creature did have hair on the bottom of its chin though. It also had long hanging arms that almost went to its knees. That the arms were swinging as it went up the hill. Now, far as a walking motion goes, it walked with big strides at first, and they were very smooth. The animal was never in any real hurry, they stated, and never started running. In the later statement, he also stated that the footprints had 5 toes and were 6 to 7 feet apart. And that when they was trying to follow this animal, that he really didn't know what they would do if they did catch up to it. They said that they would never shoot this animal, that it was just too human-like to them. Now, I hope you like this sighting report. This sighting comes out of Dutchess County, New York, from November the 9th of 2013. The witness states that when he first originally saw the creatures, that they were about 200 yards away, and that he was using binoculars scanning the woods for deer. At first he thought that it might just be a bear foraging for some food, with a smaller animal nearby. He says that he observed the creature for almost a minute before he realized what he was looking at was a Bigfoot with a smaller one in tow. He was scared at this point, and he raised his bow and took a shot at the Bigfoot, hoping to scare them away. With the large one being 8 to 8.5 feet tall and the smaller one being about 3 to 4 foot tall, this is when the witness stated that the smaller one climbed up on the larger one's back. Then the larger one just walked away, not running away as the hunter thought they would, just walked about 100 yards before he lost sight of them. This is where he states that he ran as fast as he could back to the UTV that he was using. He also stated that he spends most of his time in the fall in the woods, and that he has seen plenty of bears, and that these creatures wasn't bears. They were something else. That's it for this one.
This report comes out of Graham County, Arizona, June 16, 2013. The witness states he was camping at Mount Graham. He says about 1 a.m. he woke up and heard rhythmic tapping of some type. It sounded like it was coming from about 30 yards away from a very wooded area. Within seconds, he heard something walking around his tent. It was definitely footsteps, and they were moving around his tent. He didn't hear breathing, just the footsteps, and it never walked in between the lantern and the tent, so he never saw a shadow of whatever it was around the tent. Now his sister, her husband, and their son were in the next tent over. Their hound dog was there as well. He states that the hound dog was whimpering, and that's when he woke his dad and told him he thought there was a bear in the campsite. They put their shoes on, grabbed a gun and a flashlight. He also stated that his 3 nieces were in the tent adjacent to his sisters, when all of a sudden a loud scream came from his niece's tent. As soon as they heard the scream, they were out of their tent, with their flashlights shining in their direction. But it was gone. It had to move extremely fast, or they were hiding just inside the tree line and were very quiet. He knew they were out of that tent within 2 seconds of the scream, because they were already getting up to check some noises. The nieces told them later that they heard loud footsteps and breathing. They also said that they heard 2 individuals. It sounded like they were communicating, but she couldn't understand it. She says she also heard them run away when she screamed. So what do you think about this one? Did Bigfoot come to the campsite, or was it something else? Drop me a comment below.
This sighting report comes out of Cherokee County, Alabama. The witness states that she was driving home from Cedar Bluff High School on Highway 9. As she was coming down the road, she caught a glimpse of something standing at the edge of the woodline. She said she put her brakes on to get a better look at whatever this thing was. That's when she saw what it was standing there. She states that it was 7 to 8 feet tall, dark hairy color, and was standing on 2 legs. It stood and stared at her for a few seconds. Then it turned and took 2 strides back into the woodline, and it was just gone. She states that what she saw was definitely a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. She's sure that the creature was staring at the cows in the field on the other side of the road. The witness also said that she had came to a full stop in the road before this creature ever looked at her. that the distance between her and the Sasquatch was approximately 30 to 40 yards at the max. The follow-up investigator asked her how she did determine the height of the creature. That was easy for the witness. Her brother is 6'6" and her father is 6'8", so she knows tall, and that this creature stood at least a full head taller than her father. She also states that it had broad shoulders, at least 3 feet and maybe closer to 4 feet across. Now its arms hung down to its mid-thigh area, and it had dark, almost black hair. She also says that the head seemed to be proportionate to the body, with the hair hanging on to the shoulders. After the sighting, the witness went and got her husband. He says that he could tell she was upset. They went to where she had saw the creature go back into the woods. The husband said you could tell something had been in that area due to how the grass was pushed down. So what do you think the witness saw on this one? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. This sighting comes out of Manatee County, Florida, from July the 10th of 2017. The witness states that on Monday, July the 10th, that they were driving home from a overnight fishing trip at Tampa Bay, saying that they were about 2 miles from Parrish, Florida, that another car was ahead of them and that they were about 10 car lengths behind when they spotted a creature on the side of the road. It seemed to be watching the car in front of them, like it was waiting for it to pass so it could cross the road. As the car ahead of us passed the creature, it ran to the other side of the road. The witness said that this creature was running upright as it was crossing the road ahead of them, saying that the creature was on 2 legs for sure, that it was big and fast. The witness also said that this creature didn't have the shoulder movement that a human would have running across the road. The witness says that his wife, who was in the passenger side seat, seen this creature as well cross the road, saying that the car also filled with a horrible odor. Now, the sighting didn't last too long because they were doing around 70 miles an hour, and that the passenger in the back didn't see the creature at all, and his granddaughter was asleep in the back at the time. The witness says that out of the 4 of them in the car, 2 had seen this creature and 3 had smelled this thing. The witness says this creature was dark in color, that it ran kind of stiffly without any arm movement that they saw, which they said it was fast and that the creature was across the road within 2 steps. Now, the witness described the smell as being strange, like a mix of polecat and a musky smell with swamp water and sulfur all mixed together. Now, both witnesses was kind of speaking over each other when describing the smell. Now, once the witnesses got home, the wife called the Manatee Sheriff's Office and filed a report, saying that the sheriff's office told her that they sometimes get these reports from the area of the county. Now, I have a couple of pictures here, one that shows the area of the sighting and one that is a drawing of what the witnesses say they saw that night. Here's the first picture. It shows you the road and terrain of the area, which doesn't look like a place where you would expect a creature like this to be. But from what the sheriff's office told her, there have been more sightings around this area than their sighting. Now, this next picture is said to be a drawing of what they saw that night. This creature should have been well lit, with the tail lights from the other car in front of them, and with their own headlights shining on this creature as well. They should have been able to tell what this thing was. They would be able to tell if it was on two legs or not, and just how big this creature was. From what they said about the sighting, they didn't get the best look, but what they seen seems to be what I would expect them to. So yeah, I think they saw something very strange that night, and it sounds a lot like a Bigfoot type creature to me. So what do you think? This Bigfoot sighting happened in Montgomery County, Texas, from July of 2016. The witness says twice this month, while coming home, he has had a sighting of a large hairy biped. The witness says that he travels a lot due to his work, and that he has many flights that comes in at night, and that both of the sightings were between 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning. Saying that he was entering from the backside of the subdivision each time. This area is bordered by thick woods that eventually leads to a large lake. Now, as the witness entered the subdivision, there were large amounts of deer on the side of the road. Saying as he passed by the deer that he looked to his rearview mirror to see the deer, when all of the deer suddenly dispersed at high speed. This is when the witness says he saw a very large brown biped emerge from the woods, looking like it was chasing his car. By taking a few steps, and then it just turned around and walked back into the woods. He says that because he was looking in his rearview mirror, he wasn't able to see much detail about this creature, while stating he could only say that it was large and brown while walking on two legs. The Bigfoot was most likely to be after the deer and not the car, but strange that it has happened to him twice in 1 month. I can see why he would report this one. I mean, something like that happened twice in 1 month would make me want to let someone know what was going on. Even though he was scared of what he was seeing, I don't think it was after him. Maybe it was trying to use the car to get closer to the deer. Since the deer didn't move till after the car had passed, they were used to the sounds of the cars. It makes me think that this creature might have been using the sounds of the cars or cars to get closer to the deer, trying to mask his own sounds from the deer. I don't know if that's what this creature was doing or not, but it's something to think about. So what do you think on this one? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. This sighting report comes out of Jack County, Texas, from July the 18th of 2016. The witness states that he thinks that he saw a Bigfoot type creature near the Montgomery Game Ranch in Jack County. The witness and a few of his friends had got together to go dirt roading driving through several very wild and remote parts of the county. He says that they stopped to listen and look for the area's wildlife. This is when he said that he put his Generation 1 night vision binoculars on the edge of the tree line. Now this is when he says that he saw a large, black, and roundish shape. He thought it was a cow at first. Now as he started to focus in on the animal, he says that the creature stood up slowly onto two legs. This creature appeared to be very tall, and that it turned and took 3 to 4 very long strides to get behind a large tree. The strides were long but smooth and slow. It wasn't rushing to get out of sight, he says, but moving more slowly as to not be detected by anyone, and that this creature gave no sudden movement at all. It looked to be a huge, man-like figure. Now he says that he tried to zoom in at this point, but that all he could see was a huge black shape behind a tree. He says that he wasn't able to record it and that none of his friends seen the creature. With its size and movements of this thing, it had to be more coordinated and smoother than a wild cat, he says. After growing up on a cattle ranch and spending many years as a park ranger, that he knows the local wildlife very well, but that this creature was nothing he had ever seen before. But he has heard stories of Sasquatch and Bigfoot type creatures, and that he has to put this sighting of something into that pile, that he thinks he saw a Sasquatch. So what do you think this man saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. This Bigfoot sighting happened in Clay County, Texas on June the 17th of 2015. Now the witness states that him, his wife, and their 4 children was on their way home from church, that they were on a rural dirt road when this sighting occurred. The name of the road was Old Joy Shannon Road, when something appeared at the edge of his headlights, just standing on the side of the road. Now at this time the witness says he slammed on his brakes, that before they came to a stop, the creature started crossing the road. It took one step and was almost in the middle of the road, while with its next step, it was on the other side of the road. Then the witness says that him and his family watched as the creature went over a barbed wire fence. He says that the creature cleared the fence with one step. Then he said they all just sat there, trying to make sense of what they had just seen. Then they all came to the conclusion that they had just seen a Sasquatch. And with that realization, that their whole outlook of what could be out there in this world had changed. Now he says that he wasn't for sure about the height, but that the creature was huge that he saw. While having dark fur or hair, he also said that the arms were massive in size, and it definitely walked on 2 legs. That he knows it stepped over a 4-foot fence with a single step, but that he didn't see the creature cross the other fence on the other side, where he had first seen it. But even though the fence is 5 foot, that he didn't think it would have much trouble with that one either. The investigator for the BFRO said that he was sure that the witness and his daughter was being truthful, saying that they were forthright and consistent in their descriptions. So what do you think the witness and his family saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Cass County, Texas, from August the 10th of 2004. The witness states that he was driving on Highway 59 going into Atlanta, Texas. He is a truck driver and he drives this route at least twice a week. It's a midnight run, he says, so it was late, 1:30, maybe around 1:50 when the sighting happened, and that he was the only one on the road that he could see. He says that he came to an S curve, and that this curve went to the right and then swerved back to the left. He says he made the first curve, and when he was coming out of the second curve is when he saw a creature, or as he put it, a huge beast just stepping over a 6-strand barbed wire fence. Now this is when he says he slammed on his brakes, that he was stunned and scared to death of what he was seeing. He says that this was no man and that he was sure it wasn't a damn bear either, saying that this creature had to be at least 8 to 8.5 feet tall, and that this thing weighed at least 500 pounds. The witness says that he weighs 230 pounds and that this creature was at the very least double his size, saying that the creature's hair was a very dark brown and that it wasn't as long as he thought it would have been, that the hair was maybe 6 to 8 inches long. Now he said that the hair on this creature's chest and abdomen wasn't as thick as the rest of the creature. He says that he could see its eyes, nose, and mouth, and that there wasn't much hair there either. As he said before, when he first seen this creature, it was stepping over a 4-foot fence, and from what he could tell, it was easy for this thing. He says that the creature saw him, but didn't run away. It just turned its head and started walking down the fence line. He watched it for about a minute, and he says he knows he should have watched it longer, but that he was freaking out and scared, so he just drove on into Atlanta. The general area is indeed one that fits within what is thought to be a typical southern Sasquatch habitat, with creeks, marshes, and thick woods that surround the location of the sighting. So what do you think the witness saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. This sighting comes out of Williamson County, Texas, from June the 23rd of 2017. The witness states that he knows that there will be many people out there that won't believe him. He says he knows this because he is still trying to come to terms with it himself. He says that he didn't plan on posting anything online about what he had seen, that he was trying to pretend that it was just a dream, but that the next day the nightmare continued to haunt him. He says that he just couldn't get it out of his head what he had seen and heard the night before. So he decided to make and write this report while it was fresh on his mind, hoping that this will get the images off his mind. The witness said that he just wanted to come out and say it. Last night, on Friday, June the 23rd of 2017, he saw a very large and tall thing in their backyard, and that it would seem to have been the being otherwise known as, dare he say it, Bigfoot. He says it sure sounds crazy, but that it's true. He also said he considers himself to be someone who will debunk extraordinary claims by other people when it comes to UFO sightings, like the Loch Ness Monster and yes, even Bigfoot sightings. That he just never believed in this crazy stuff. The witness states that he was listening to a song when he heard an unusual howling. It was a strange type sound, saying he first thought that something was wrong with his speakers, but that the weird sounds continued even after he turned them off. It almost sounded like a hoot, though much deeper, when he noticed that their 3 dogs had made their way to the back door and was pacing nervously back and forth. Then they started howling back. It was very unusual in that he had never seen them do this before. He states that he thought it must have been another dog or one of the wild coyotes that had been seen in the area. At this point, he didn't want his dogs to get out and maybe get rabies or even eaten. So he picked up a broom to chase whatever it was away. Now he said that this is where everything started happening rapidly. As the dogs went for the door, he tried to shut it back, but one of his little dogs squeezed through. That the dog was moving at breakneck speed towards the creek in the backyard. That's when he noticed a large creature down in the creek area. It seemed to be looking in their direction, and he said it had glowing greenish yellow eyes, Then the creature quickly turned and ran to the south along the creek until it disappeared. He says that he was stunned by what he had seen, thinking that he just had some kind of little nuisance creature that he could run off with a broom, to this large imposing creature that he saw. For the few seconds that he saw the creature, he says that it was very tall with hair all over most of its body. It was also bipedal and very fast for a creature that size. His wife had heard the noise coming from the dogs. She opened the back door just to see him holding their smallest dog next to the fence. When she asked him what was he looking at, he said he didn't know how to respond to her. While they both were standing there, they heard another very loud howling hoot. He says it's a big deal for him to share this encounter here, knowing most people will not believe him. He knows because he was one of those people that he would not have believed it if he hadn't seen it for himself. But the weirdest thing was how the dogs were acting. Kind of acting like they had just seen an old friend or something, with the howls and their tails wagging like they were. He says again that he had never seen them do that before that night. So what do you think this man saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think.
This sighting comes out of Navajo County, Arizona, April 22nd, 2014. A witness states he was fishing on Fool's Hollow Lake near Sholo, Arizona, when a storm started to roll in from the east. As the storm got closer, he had become more uncomfortable, so he decided he had to head back in. He says that he was headed west when he saw what he thought was a bear down on all fours, drinking water from the edge of the lake. In the sighting report, he lists some coordinates where he was at the time of the sighting. You can refer to the BFRO website for those if you would like. Report number is 47536. He states as he got closer to the creature, still thinking it was a black bear, it stood up on its hind two legs and looked right at him. He says the creature turned away and walked into the thick woods. That's when he lost sight of it. He states during the short time he was watching this creature walk back into the woods, it reminded him of how the creature moved in the Patterson video. And the creature stood at least 7 to 8 feet tall, while having a longer arm reach than a human, with the arm stretching to its mid-thigh area, with a slight hunch as it walked away. He also stated that the creature appeared to have reddish-brown hair, with it being about 2 shades darker than an orangutan would have. Now, the witness states he never caught sight of this creature after losing it. He says he wants to stay and look for more of it, but that the storm was right on him. With lightning all around him, he headed back, due to him not wanting to be in a 12-foot aluminum boat. He says he had heard stories of a monster called the Magaloon Monster before, which describes a Sasquatch creature that roams the Magellan Rim.
This sighting report comes out of Navajo County, Arizona, from March the 24th of 2010. The witness states that he was driving on US 60 going toward Shiloh at about 2 p.m. on March the 24th of 2010. The witness says that when driving he always looks out into the tree lines, hoping to see deer or turkey, but that this time he saw something more out of the ordinary. He says he saw a large and tall creature that was about the same color as a Hereford cow, standing halfway behind a large pine tree. Now, this witness is a hunter that knows the local wildlife, and that he had driven this route at least once a month for the past 14 years. Now, when he saw this creature, he hit his brakes, and then he was perpendicular with the creature, he says, that it seemed to be looking at him. When he turned and tried to get behind the tree more, but he says the creature was way too large to hide. He says it kept its head out and watched him. But he could see both sides of the creature now on either side of the tree. The witness described the creature as being human-shaped, that it also had broad shoulders with muscular, big, and bulky arms, with the arms hanging down way past his waist, and that the arms didn't hang straight down like humans does, but more like a gorilla's does. He says there were no visible neck and that the head was wide, looking kind of like a bump on the shoulders. Its fur was dark red and 2 or 3 inches long, and that the color of its hair was different than you see in the forest. That the color was close to a Hereford cow but darker, and that the hair seemed to be ratty with lick spots. He said he could see the face but couldn't make it out. He says their sighting lasted for at least 30 seconds before moving off. 30 seconds. That's not a quick sighting. Like some sightings from the side of the road, most of these type of sightings only last 6 or 7 seconds. So what do you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment down below. That's it for this one. I hope you liked it. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. This Bigfoot sighting happened in Clay County, Texas on June the 17th of 2015. Now the witness states that him, his wife, and their 4 children was on their way home from church, that they were on a rural dirt road when this sighting occurred. The name of the road was Old Joy Shannon Road, when something appeared at the edge of his headlights, just standing on the side of the road. Now at this time the witness says he slammed on his brakes, that before they came to a stop, the creature started crossing the road. It took one step and was almost in the middle of the road, while with its next step, it was on the other side of the road. Then the witness says that him and his family watched as the creature went over a barbed wire fence. He says that the creature cleared the fence with one step. Then he said they all just sat there, trying to make sense of what they had just seen. Then they all came to the conclusion that they had just seen a Sasquatch. And with that realization, that their whole outlook of what could be out there in this world had changed. Now he says that he wasn't for sure about the height, but that the creature was huge that he saw. While having dark fur or hair, he also said that the arms were massive in size, and it definitely walked on 2 legs. That he knows it stepped over a 4-foot fence with a single step, but that he didn't see the creature cross the other fence on the other side, where he had first seen it. But even though the fence is 5 foot, that he didn't think it would have much trouble with that one either. The investigator for the BFRO said that he was sure that the witness and his daughter was being truthful, saying that they were forthright and consistent in their descriptions. So what do you think the witness and his family saw that night? Drop me a comment down below and let me know. This Bigfoot sighting happened in Montgomery County, Texas, from July of 2016. The witness says twice this month, while coming home, he has had a sighting of a large hairy biped. The witness says that he travels a lot due to his work and that he has many flights that comes in at night, and that both of the sightings were between 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning. Saying that he was entering from the backside of the subdivision each time. This area is bordered by thick woods that eventually leads to a large lake. Now, as the witness entered the subdivision, there were large amounts of deer on the side of the road, saying as he passed by the deer that he looked to his rearview mirror to see the deer, when all of the deer suddenly dispersed at high speed. This is when the witness says he saw a very large brown biped emerge from the woods, looking like it was chasing his car. By taking a few steps, and then it just turned around and walked back into the woods. He says that because he was looking in his rearview mirror, he wasn't able to see much detail about this creature, while stating he could only say that it was large and brown while walking on two legs. The Bigfoot was most likely to be after the deer and not the car, but strange that it has happened to him twice in 1 month. I can see why he would report this one. I mean, something like that happened twice in 1 month would make me want to let someone know what was going on. Even though he was scared of what he was seeing, I don't think it was after him. Maybe it was trying to use the car to get closer to the deer. Since the deer didn't move till after the car had passed, they were used to the sounds of the cars. It makes me think that this creature might have been using the sounds of the cars or cars to get closer to the deer, trying to mask his own sounds from the deer. I don't know if that's what this creature was doing or not, but it's something to think about. So what do you think on this one? This sighting comes out of Hamilton County, New York, from July 11th of 2014. The witness says she was driving home through the mountains using Route 8 and that it was 12:37 a.m. when she says that she hit a creature with her car and that the creature was carrying a deer in its arms and that her car was damaged from the hood to the rear of the car. Now she states that the speed limit is 55 and that when she seen the creature, she hit her brakes but only managed to slow down a little before hitting this creature. She says that she never believed in Bigfoot before this and she had not talked to anyone since last night. She states she wanted to stop and make sure the creature was okay, but was scared, so she didn't go back. The creature was huge, she said. It had to be at least 7.5 feet tall. She states that she has seen drawings and pictures of Bigfoot before, and this creature looked similar, but had white around its hairline, and its fur was dark brown, almost black looking. She says that her car is totaled, with the creature crushing her windshield wipers together, with many of pieces broken off and down the passenger side of the car, and with mud and blood all over the rear window, and that there might be DNA on the car. Now, the follow-up investigator was too late to get any DNA off the car, due to the witness only left an email address to reach her, and by the time they finally hooked up, it was just too late. That's it for this one. It's from June the 22nd, 2019, from Yakima County. The witness states that he observed at least 4 howls in the morning between 4 and 5 a.m. at Silver Beach campgrounds. The sounds were about a mile away but could hear clearly in the morning. Thought it was wildlife or maybe a person. Then looked up a video on YouTube of people using a parabolic sound dish recording Sasquatch vocalizing. Sounds when I arrived back home. Was able to recognize the sound from the video to what I had heard. It was a terrifying sound. The best way to describe it was a howl sound between a man and an ape. The witness also stated that the howl stopped once dawn hit, and also that there was one other witness that was with him at the time. Now that's it for this one. This sighting comes out of Hillsborough County, Florida. The witness says that he has never put much stock into the Bigfoot phenomenon, that he has degrees in wildlife management and wildlife biology, and has been working as a biologist for the past 17 years. Now, he said that he had never believed that something like Bigfoot could exist without leaving some kind of evidence. Furthermore, he says that nothing similar has ever been found in a fossil record that he knows of. So that has always led him to believe that it was just all false in his mind. Until the weekend of November the 24th, 2013. He says that he is an avid birdwatcher and wildlife photographer, that he likes to take very long hikes around various wild areas around Tampa this time of year, so that he can photograph whatever he can find. Now, he says that he was taking one of these hikes in Cypress Creek Preserve, which is between Interstate 275 and 75, near the apex where they meet. He says that he was walking on one of the wide trails when he came to a sudden stop due to the noise that he heard. He says that he had seen a lot of wild pigs that morning and that he was hoping to photo one crossing the path that day. Now, he says that he was looking at his camera, adjusting the ISO setting, when he saw something very large out of the corner of his eye move, saying the movement was on his left about 200 feet away. That as soon as he saw the movement, that he looked right at it. This creature was already halfway across the trail. The witness says that his eyes were directly upon this creature as it walked upright across the rest of the trail and back into the palmettos. He says that it was a very large creature, at least 6 feet tall, maybe taller, while being total black in color and with a very wide chest from front to back, saying that it was walking completely upright with a fast pace. The animal was leaning forward slightly but didn't seem awkward in its steps, kind of like a bear would be while walking upright. Now, he says that he walked over to where the animal had been and that he could still hear this thing moving through the trees and brush. This is when the witness says that he noticed that all the birds had stopped chirping and that even the insects had stopped making noise as well. Now, this witness is a biologist at a local animal park, and he has taught classes at college level on bears, and that what he saw that day wasn't a bear. He admits that it was a quick sighting, but he was able to see its muscular tone from its profile, that its gait had a forward lean to it while being smooth. Now, its facial features blended into its dark face, and he wasn't able to see them. While there were no apparent breast or a tail on this creature, he did notice that the head was roundish but much larger than a human's head. Now, where the witness was at the time of the sighting is a state recognized wildlife corridor that connects the Hillsborough River and the Green Swamp. There have been numerous sighting reports out of both of these areas. Now, here is a picture of the trail and where this sighting happened. This witness said that the sighting happened so fast he wasn't able to get a photo of this creature. So he took this one to remember his sighting that day. Now I think he saw something that day that he can't explain. So what do you all think? This sighting comes out of Warren County, New York, from August the 7th of 2018. Now the witness states that he received a text message from a friend around 10 p.m. stating that he needed vehicle assistance. So he went out to help his friend, stating that he was driving eastbound towards Vermont on US 4 when he noticed something next to the road, he says. He thought it was a log when he first seen it, but then he noticed that it was a large creature that was walking upright. He said it was approximately 6 feet tall and that the width was 2.5 to 3 feet at the shoulders, no neck to speak of, and that the creature's hair went from the top of its head to its back. He said that he only saw the back of the creature and didn't get a look at the front at all. He says he saw it step over a 3-foot high rail with little effort and descend into the woods towards a high power line. He didn't stop due to he needed to help his friend, but the next day he contacted a local Bigfoot researcher named Paul Bartholomew, which visited the site with the witness. They noticed footprints and cast them. They were where the witness said that they saw the creature on the side of the road. That's it for this one. Hey guys, tonight's video is going to be on Bigfoot, or otherwise known as Sasquatch. So I hope you enjoy this subject, and let's get right on into it. Hey guys, before we get into the more recent sightings, I was just wanting to go back and dig into a little bit of the history first. Bigfoot is said to be a hairy, upright walking, ape-like creature that dwells in the wilderness. They are often portrayed as being a missing link between human and great apes. Most sightings of these creatures comes out of the Pacific Northwest, particularly Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia. Now with that being said, it don't mean they're going to stay in the Pacific Northwest. There have been sightings throughout the United States of America and throughout Canada as well. For most of the people that have seen this creature always seems to describe the same creature also. Most people claim that Bigfoot is a large, muscular, bipedal ape-like creature, roughly 6 to 9 feet tall, covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Bigfoot is mostly known for his enormous footprints. After all, this is how he got his name, is Bigfoot. Some of these footprints are said to be as large as 24 inches long and 8 inches wide. So that's a Bigfoot no matter how you put it. So I can see why he has his name and everybody calls him Bigfoot. Now the Native Americans has many names for Bigfoot throughout their history, such as Sasquatch, and there's many more out there in the Native American language, but I'm going to try not to pronounce them because I don't want to offend anybody by getting them wrong. But sitting here looking at the list, there is many names for the creature of Bigfoot. For the Native Americans, this creature's just always been there. They've always told stories to the children, sometimes telling them not to say their name, so that the creature wouldn't come and take them in the middle of the night. Warnings such as these was given to most of the children throughout the Native American societies. The Native American tribes has long believed in a creature that survives within the dark forests of America. migrating throughout the mountain tops with ever-passing season. So with that said, let's get into some eyewitness testimony. Hey guys, I wanted to read this one right here to you. It comes out of the Charlotte Observer out of North Carolina. It's a ghostly image captured along Lake James reunites Bigfoot fever in North Carolina by Mark Price. Grainy photos of a shadowy figure standing on the banks of Lake James have reunited talk of one or more Bigfoot living in the mountains northwest of Charlotte. The series of images was reportedly taken about 2 a.m. Saturday and posted on Facebook by Bigfoot 911, a research group devoted to creatures of folklore like the Bigfoot. Bigfoot 911 is the same Marion-based team that reported seeing a Bigfoot 2 years ago in McDowell County, but it may have came closer this time to getting the proof that has long eluded believers in the Bigfoot. Okay guys, here's a enhanced version of the photo taken at Lake James Saturday. So y'all let me know down below what you think. I locked right onto this creature and knew immediately it was a Bigfoot. Bigfoot 911 member John Berner told McClatchy's News Group. He was standing there watching us swing back and forth. I guess he felt safe because the four of us were in a boat and he was on shore. The encounter lasted 5 minutes, he says, and ended when the ghostly figure appeared to turn and walk away. I didn't feel we were in danger, Berner says. Bigfoot are curious. They want to watch us, but also want to get away from us. They don't want to engage us at all. Believers in the existence of Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, do so in defiance of wildlife experts, who say there is a lack of undeniable proof. National Geographic notes most of the evidence is circumstantial, including eyewitness accounts, blurry photos, and mysterious footprints. However, the Indian Army surprised the world in April by tweeting an Army expedition in the mountains had found mysterious footprints of a mythical beast Yeti, believed to be a type of high-altitude Bigfoot. Berner says the photos taken Saturday were captured with night vision cameras, while the men eased into one of the lake's northern coves. Lake James is a 6,812-acre lake, 45 miles northeast of Asheville. It has 150 miles of shoreline, much of it densely wooded. The men were scouting the area after receiving reports that night fishermen had seen something watching them from the shore, he said. At least one of the sportsmen believed he'd seen a Bigfoot in June, Berner said. Reaction to the photos on social media has been a mix of support and skepticism, which Berner says he expected. Some see only a shadow while others easily see a creature. I think it's just where there was no foliage or trees, kind of like a trail or opening of some sort, posted Christy Dotson on Facebook. I thought the same thing, but in the other pics it definitely changed positions, AJ Crawley responded. So it's not stationary. Plus, once you see that shape, you just kind of know it's not a tree stump either. I blew it up on my tablet and then studied the pics under an old school magnifying glass. Definitely a creature there. G.L. Johnson wrote, "It's the real deal. It's no shadows." This next story comes from outside. The title of the article is The 10 Most Convincing Bigfoot Sightings. It was texted by Lauren Kent. For decades, people around the world have been fascinated with the legend of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, or whatever you choose to call it. Sightings of a furry, upright biped, and reports of beastly footprints have been reported from as far afield as the Himalayas. Although no definitive proof exists, the often questionable reports continue adding up. Outside plunged into the deep, dark corners of this subculture to compile the most famous, perhaps most convincing, Bigfoot photos ever captured. Here's the evidence. Is Bigfoot real? You be the judge. The most famous and influential Bigfoot footage is the 1967 film shot by Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin in Northern California. The Bigfoot walk has been parodied by many, but never truly replicated. Even with this enhanced image, it's hard to tell if it's a person in a gorilla suit or the real deal. A youth group was climbing into Marble Mountain wilderness when leader Jim Mills noticed a strange-looking creature skulking along a ridge nearby. He filmed it for nearly 7 minutes, making the somewhat grainy footage the longest video of an alleged Bigfoot sighting. British explorer Eric Shipton snapped this photo while trekking through the Himalayas in 1951, alleging that the footprint belonged to a Yeti. In 2014, Christie's auction house in London capitalized on the worldwide interest in Bigfoot and sold the original photo for nearly $5,000. Called the Independence Day film, this remarkably clear video shows an alleged adult Bigfoot walking through the woods with a cub in tow. The filmmaker and exact location are unknown, and many skeptics claim that there is a telling visible seam of a gorilla suit. In October 2012, a group of siblings hiking in Provo Canyon thought they spotted a bear in the woods and started filming. When the creature stood up on 2 legs, the hikers ran, abruptly ending the shaky video. A year later, the siblings launched a Kickstarter campaign to investigate the other Utah Bigfoot sightings. In 2007, hunter Rick Jacobs captured some of the most famous Bigfoot images to date with a camera mounted to a tree in Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest. His camera also captured clear photos of bear cubs, offering evidence that the unidentified animal was not your son. But skeptics believe the animal is just a bear sick with mange. Okay guys, now I have to add my opinion on this one. I'm sitting here looking at this photo. That is not a bear. I don't care what any skeptics think. I'm sorry, I mean, maybe a escaped monkey, gorilla or something like that, but that is no bear. Locals in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, were baffled by a footprint measuring 17.75 inches found near a residential home in the 1980s. According to the Associated Press, the footprint coincided with reports of strange noises and a strong but unusual odor in the air. Welcome to Bigfoot, Part 2. In 1994, former U.S. Forest Patrolman Paul Freeman claimed he saw a family of Bigfoots in Washington's Blue Mountains. The video is shaky and grainy, but has been deemed the real deal by so-styled Bigfoot experts. Mississippi resident Josh Highcliffe captured video of this potential Bigfoot while hunting on his property in 2013. Afraid to go back into the woods, he posted the footage to YouTube asking for help to identify the animal or for a prankster to come forward. A hiker was walking through the Utah hills near Provo Canyon in 2012 when he spotted a large animal in the woods. As he approached, the animal stood up on two legs and started throwing rocks at him, supposedly a trademark behavior of the Sasquatch. Bigfoot sighting reported in California. Fresno County, California, KMPH. We've all heard the stories of Bigfoot. People saying they've seen the legendary beast all over the country. And now, another sighting in the Golden State. According to paranormal expert Jeffrey Gonzalez, the most recent sighting was near Avocado Lake. Gonzalez says a local farmer saw a family of 5 or 6 Bigfoot running on his ranch in the middle of the night. One of them, which was extremely tall, had a pig over its shoulder, and the 5 scattered, and the one with the pig was running so fast it didn't see an irrigation pipe and it tripped, with the pig flying over, says Gonzalez. This story intrigued Gonzalez, but did not surprise him. In the last 5 years, there have been 3 Bigfoot sightings, all in the same area in East Fresno County. I would have never guessed in a million years that you would have told me there were Bigfoot on Shields or Ashland Avenue, right? So I want to know what's going on. Is this for real? Says Gonzalez. He says 5 years ago a woman called him saying her 2 sons had seen a Bigfoot in their orchard one afternoon. A few years later, Gonzalez received a call from a man who said he saw 5 Bigfoot in an orchard across the street from his house. Turns out it was the same orchard where the boys had seen the Bigfoot years before. And now, a local farmer says he, too, has seen 5 Bigfoot on his property. What are the odds of 3 people, 3 different families who didn't know each other, within a radius of 2 to 3 miles, come and tell me what they witnessed? And it matches up, says Gonzalez. On a Bigfoot expedition a few years ago, Gonzalez says he came back to his truck to find prints on his car. Those prints were tested by a local DNA expert. According to the test, the print matched up with that of a gorilla. Gonzalez also has a footprint mold he believes is of Bigfoot, retrieved from the orchard. I believe there are a lot more people out there who have seen things and are keeping it inside themselves. They don't want to go out and tell people. They don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be made fun of, says Gonzalez. He says now is the time to come out because he, along with several others in the valley, believes that Bigfoot is back. If you think you've seen something, email Gonzalez at sangerparanormal@aol.com. Experts are theorizing that the bear that saved a lost child was Bigfoot. When 3-year-old Casey Hathaway was found by rescuers last week after 2 nights lost in the freezing cold woods of North Carolina, he had a very simple explanation to give as to how he survived. A bear helped him, as his auntie Brina Hathaway posted to Facebook. Casey is healthy, smiling, and talking. He said he hung out with a bear for 2 days. God sent him a friend to keep him safe. God is a good God. Miracles do happen. While obviously extremely cool if true, this seems unlikely. A bear researcher, Chris Servan from the University of Montana, unambiguously told The Guardian, "I've never known such a thing to happen. Bears don't do that." We can all agree that it is surely miraculous that little Casey survived, but we must also all agree that it is pretty unlikely that it was the friendship of a bear that allowed him to survive. Luckily, there is a very simple, very plausible explanation for how he managed to survive. Bigfoot. The canny enthusiasts of the Bigfoot community don't miss a trick, and very quickly asserted that this story about a magical bear was actually probably a story about the world's most famous wooded ape. From the website of paranormal radio show Spaced Out Radio. Casey said he spent 2 days hanging out with a bear. A bear, for the record, bears hibernate in the cold months of winter, and there are no reports available of bears coming out of hibernation to tend lost children. However, also on record are many reports of Bigfoot helping lost children. The compilations of Bigfoot stories include myriad experiences where Bigfoot intervened in a lost child's flight and helped him survive. So did Casey Hathaway spend 2 days with a bear, or did he spend 2 days with a Bigfoot? Could this big, furry creature, who many believe is just mythical, have cared for and kept alive for 2 days in freezing climate weather a 3-year-old toddler who wandered off and got himself into a perilous situation? Some may doubt such a thing. However, in the light of what we know about bears in winter and Bigfoot's documented interaction with other children, I am going with Bigfoot. In their most recent episode, the cryptozoological experts at Bigfoot Outlaw Radio made similar speculations that it was more likely that Bigfoot had intervened in this matter. In the comments, YouTube user Gearhead996 agreed. I lived near this area. It was extremely cold those days. He said that a purple bear was with him. It's a very isolated part of eastern North Carolina. Very easy for a purple bear to stay hidden. My wife said he probably got lost and was found by a Sasquatch. The Sasquatch had to retreat when the area was heavily searched. The boy was then dropped off near some crossroads that had previously been gone through. Sasquatch news site Squatchable, which records reported Bigfoot sightings, posted a video suggesting that Bigfoots are known to rescue children, and this could well be the case this time. The BFRO, which is the biggest player in the Bigfoot scene, has yet to weigh in on this issue. This sighting report comes out of Jack County, Texas, from July the 18th of 2016. The witness states that he thinks that he saw a Bigfoot-type creature near the Montgomery Game Ranch in Jack County. The witness and a few of his friends had got together to go dirt roading driving through several very wild and remote parts of the county. He says that they stopped to listen and look for the area's wildlife. This is when he said that he put his Generation One Night Vision binoculars on the edge of the tree line. Now this is when he says that he saw a large, black, and roundish shape. He thought it was a cow at first. Now as he started to focus in on the animal, He says that the creature stood up slowly onto two legs. This creature appeared to be very tall, and that it turned and took 3 to 4 very long strides to get behind a large tree. The strides were long but smooth and slow. It wasn't rushing to get out of sight, he says, but moving more slowly as to not be detected by anyone, and that this creature gave no sudden movement at all. It looked to be a huge, man-like figure. Now he says that he tried to zoom in at this point, but that all he could see was a huge black shape behind a tree. He says that he wasn't able to record it and that none of his friends seen the creature. With its size and movements of this thing, it had to be more coordinated and smoother than a wild cat, he says. After growing up on a cattle ranch and spending many years as a park ranger, that he knows the local wildlife very well, but that this creature was nothing he had ever seen before. But he has heard stories of Sasquatch and Bigfoot type creatures, and that he has to put this sighting of something into that pile, that he thinks he saw a Sasquatch. So what do you think this man saw that night? This sighting comes out of Dutchess County, New York, from November the 9th of 2013. The witness states that when he first originally saw the creatures, that they were about 200 yards away, and that he was using binoculars scanning the woods for deer. At first he thought that it might just be a bear foraging for some food, with a smaller animal nearby. He says that he observed the creature for almost a minute before he realized what he was looking at was a Bigfoot with a smaller one in tow. He was scared at this point, and he raised his bow and took a shot at the Bigfoot, hoping to scare them away. With the large one being 8 to 8.5 feet tall and the smaller one being about 3 to 4 foot tall, this is when the witness stated that the smaller one climbed up on the larger one's back. Then the larger one just walked away, not running away as the hunter thought they would, just walked about 100 yards before he lost sight of them. This is where he states that he ran as fast as he could back to the UTV that he was using. He also stated that he spends most of his time in the fall in the woods, and that he has seen plenty of bears, and that these creatures wasn't bears, they were something else. This sighting comes out of Hamilton County, New York, from July 11th of 2014. The witness said she was driving home through the mountains using Route 8, and that it was 12:37 a.m. when she says that she hit a creature with her car, and that the creature was carrying a deer in its arms, and that her car was damaged from the hood to the rear of the car. Now she states that the speed limit is 55, and that when she seen the creature, she hit her brakes but only managed to slow down a little before hitting this creature. She says that she never believed in Bigfoot before this, and she had not talked to anyone since last night. She states she wanted to stop and make sure the creature was okay, but was scared, so she didn't go back. The creature was huge, she said. It had to be at least 7.5 feet tall. She states that she has seen drawings and pictures of Bigfoot before, and this creature looked similar, but had white around its hairline, and its fur was dark brown, almost black looking. She says that her car is totaled, with the creature crushing her windshield wipers together, with many of pieces broken off and down the passenger side of the car. and with mud and blood all over the rear window, and that there might be DNA on the car. Now, the follow-up investigator was too late to get any DNA off the car, due to the witness only left an email address to reach her, and by the time they finally hooked up, it was just too late. That's it for this one. This sighting comes out of Warren County, New York, from August the 7th of 2018. Now, the witness states that he received a text message from a friend around 10 p.m. stating that he needed vehicle assistance. So he went out to help his friend, stating that he was driving eastbound towards Vermont on US 4 when he noticed something next to the road, he says. He thought it was a log when he first seen it, but then he noticed that it was a large creature that was walking upright. He said it was approximately 6 feet tall and that the width was 2.5 to 3 feet at the shoulders, no neck to speak of, and that the creature's hair went from the top of its head to its back. He said that he only saw the back of the creature and didn't get a look at the front at all. He says he saw it step over a 3-foot high rail with little effort and descend into the woods towards a high power line. He didn't stop due to he needed to help his friend, but the next day he contacted a local Bigfoot researcher named Paul Bartholomew, which visited the site with the witness. They noticed footprints and cast them. They were where the witness said that they saw the creature on the side of the road. That's it for this one. This first sighting comes out of Clackamas County from August the 10th, 2008. This is the statement that the witness gave the BFRO. Near the end of August this year, 2008, a couple of friends and I went camping / Bigfoot hunting around the upper Calawash River in the Oregon Cascade Range, east of Estacada, with the intentions of finding a spot I had been told about by a guide on a whitewater rafting trip I had taken with my brother in 2006. Unfortunately, when we got to our destination, I was the only one in the group that wanted to look for Bigfoot. Disappointed but not dissuaded, I tried to keep the rest of the group, 2 guys and 1 girl, at least somewhat interested in the Bigfoot search. To little avail. The first night we camped, under much protest, quite a way into the bush and away from the overcrowded campgrounds, where everyone felt more comfortable. We followed an old logging road until it ended at a very secluded spot atop a ridge and maybe 250 to 350 yards directly south of the clear-cut power line running east to west. The first night was interesting as we continued to hear distant wood knocking. They started around 11 p.m. Most were far off and very fast. 4 to 7 quick, sharp cracks directly east of us that would echo across the valley, only to be answered from another direction further south and then north. But at first they were pretty far off. Everyone thought they were gunshots, but this was a really dark night and these sounds were coming from pretty deep in the thick forest, accessed only by not well-traveled logging roads, and from at least 3 different sources that for the life of me sounded like they were communicating, so I ruled out gunshots. These sounds continued to get closer to our campsite. As the night wore on, at one point, maybe 12:30 or 1 a.m., the group wanted to drive over to the power lines, where the trees weren't so thick and you could see for several miles. I decided to stay at camp and hope for something to happen. Almost immediately after everyone left, I started hearing sticks breaking from the direction they had driven out and everything got real quiet. Now, I'm from Montana and have spent many a night camping alone in far more rugged mountains than I was in now, and have experienced most of the wildlife, at least partially up close and personal, that our American forests have to offer. But I gotta tell you, I got a little spooked while they were gone. I did what any self-respected outdoorsman would do and put a lot more wood on the fire. I didn't hear anything at the time that sounded too bizarre, but I was glad when everyone got back. My buddy asked me if I was knocking rocks together while they were gone. I told him I hadn't and asked what they heard. He said that they were out looking at the valley from the top of the road we came in on, about 250 to 350 yards away, and they all heard distant knocking coming from the direction of our camp. He said it sounded like rock on rock. Later, after everyone had gone to their tents, I again decided to stay up. At around 3:30 a.m., I heard a very low grumble with a huff followed by what sounded like a lot of breath being pushed out and very close to the fire. Maybe 30 feet? At first I thought it was a bird or something. Then, almost immediately, another answered the first from across the clearing we were camped in directly behind me. I put my flashlight on where I heard the sound coming from and it would stop. 10 minutes later it would start up again. I don't know why I didn't get anyone up to listen with me, but I didn't. This went on for about an hour until the sun started to brighten the sky and you could see a lot better. I never heard walking or any more sticks breaking, but those grunting noises were definitely close and there was at least two of whatever was making them. It wasn't until on our way home that my buddy told me that he had heard the grunts too, and I love this. He was too scared to get up and investigate. The next day we went looking for another campground. I didn't want to leave, but I was definitely the minority on the subject. As we were driving down, I believe it was FR 43, my buddy and I in his rig and his friends behind us in theirs. Something very big ran across the road about 150 yards in front of us. It was dark brown or black and uniform in color and at least 8 to 9 feet tall and moving like a freight train. It was huge. We only saw it for maybe a second before it tore into the trees, running from the right to the left. My skeptical buddy looked at me and said, "Did you see that?" I had my video camera in my lap, but there was no way I could have gotten a shot of this thing. It was really moving. We stopped where we thought it crossed the road, and you could see quite clearly where something had came down the incline on the right side of the road. We didn't smell anything. We got out and I climbed the small incline that it had came down to investigate, and after 30 minutes or so found a barefoot track 18 inches long and 7.5 inches wide and got video of it. I can send you the video and have other stories of the area as well. We did have material to cast a print, but since it was in the mossy ground that covers most of the Oregon forest, my buddy refused to cast a print, claiming that we wouldn't get anything from it. I was furious, but it was his stuff, and I learned the hard way to pack your own gear. Now, that's the end of the statement. Here's a news article from the Fox News website. This article was first released in The Sun by Sheen Keach on December 10, 2019. Explorers and scientists are on the trail of legendary creature Bigfoot in the forest of Oregon. They say they may have captured video footage of the beast in an area where thousands of Bigfoot sightings have been reported. The ape-like Bigfoot creature is thought to be real by many Americans. In fact, more than 10,000 people have described eyewitness encounters with Bigfoot in the U.S. over the past 50 years. Around a third of all Bigfoot sightings are reported in the state of Oregon, which makes it a prime target for Bigfoot hunters. A team of experts has been searching for Bigfoot in the forests of Central Oregon as part of a documentary for the Travel Channel. The researchers tracked Bigfoot hotspots, analyzed footprints, and used thermal cameras to hunt for the legendary beast. One of the team members is Meyer Mayer, a primatologist at the Florida International University. She said that an undiscovered primate hiding out in dense Oregon forest is totally within the realm of possibility, speaking to Live Science. Mayer previously discovered a new species of mouse lemur in 2001. The mouse lemur is very small, but she still thinks that very large primates could hide from humans very effectively. We've seen that through history with other apes, Mayer explained. When I went in search of western lowland gorillas, because of the dense vegetation that they live in, the fact that they're not habited and in fact avoid humans at all costs, there were times we were no more than 3 feet away from a 450-pound silverback and didn't know that it was there for a good hour or two. During filming for the documentary, Mare and her team managed to capture a moving object on thermal camera. It's impossible to verify whether this really is evidence of Bigfoot, but it gives fans of the creature hope. And when we were in the field, we were able to capture something on video that fits this description, she told Live Science. Very big and moving in an ape-like, if not bipedal, fashion. That, to me, is probably the most compelling piece of evidence that I've ever seen so far. Mayer shared the footage with another primatologist, and she says he was impressed. When he saw the footage, he was completely blown away, Mayer said. He agreed with me that something ape-like was far from its home. The Expedition Bigfoot documentary airs this week. This is the article I just read for you. I'm showing this to you because I want to talk about the video that's mentioned in this article. I'm going to bring up a still that's in this video. I can't play the video, but I can use this still. You can see the red heat signature here. Now, I did see this on the Travel Channel when it aired, and this creature in the video was far away and had to be huge to still look this big in the video. In the video, it moved and you could see arm movement. I don't think it was a person, it's just moved funny and the arms looked to be long in the video as well. So if you get a chance, look this one up on the Travel Channel and let me know what you think. Now this next article comes from News Talk 870 AM KFLD. It's a short article, but the picture shows what is said to be a Bigfoot trying to cross an interstate. So let's jump into this article. Drivers near Hood River a few weeks back called the Oregon State Police and reported a Bigfoot sighting along I-84 in the middle of the night. The ODOT camera managed to capture the sighting. According to the Merrill County Watch, Oregon State Police received a frantic phone call about a Bigfoot sighting near the Hood River exit a few weeks ago. The caller described the thing as dwarfing the guardrail and too big to be a bear, not to mention it was walking upright. The dispatcher immediately checked the ODOT camera and saw an image, and it certainly looks like something is there. End of article. So here I circled the creature in red, and it does look to be of substantial size, huge even, if you consider the guardrail is in front of him. Now this one I placed a yellow line where the guardrail seems to be running. And with most guardrails ranging between 32 to 36 inches in height, then he has to be over 9 feet. And has very wide shoulders it looks like to me. So what do you think? Drop me a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button to keep up with our latest videos. This first sighting comes out of Fairbanks from July of 2009. The witness stated that he was heading south on Auburn Drive towards Farmer Loop, which was about a mile away, and that the sighting happened in what he would consider a populated area. He said it was where you passed the Pearl Creek Elementary School, that the school can be seen through the woods. It was about 6 p.m. and he was headed home. The weather was clear with the sun high in the sky when he thought that he saw a man standing by the road. He stated that in this area you see people by the road all the time, so he didn't think anything of it. Then as he got closer, maybe 50 yards or so, he could see it more clearly. As he said to himself, "That's no man." Shortly after that, maybe 1 or 2 seconds, as he was getting closer, the creature ran back into the woods towards the school. It reminded him of a spooked animal once it has noticed a person. He could see him as he was about 30 feet into the wood line. He turned left and was running parallel to the road he was driving on. He said that he got a really good look at the creature, but not his face due to everything going on. He was more focused on other things, like his fur, which seemed to be about 3 to 4 inches long, covering his body. It was rusty reddish color. The creature was about 6 feet tall and looked to be around 200 pounds. He also said that the creature ran with a strong, hoppy kind of running motion. He said that he watched a Bigfoot till it disappeared, that he then turned around in the school but never seen it again. The next day he went back to see if he could find anything. As he was looking, he ran into a couple walking their dogs. He told them what he had seen, and the couple told him about a week ago how several kids ran up to them saying, "Did you see the Sasquatch? Did you see the Sasquatch?" There was a man with the kids, and he didn't seem too excited, so the couple didn't think much more about it until he told them what he had seen. This witness did file a report with the Fish and Game Commission, but said that the person taking the statement was just rolling their eyes. Now that I can believe. People seem to do that without even knowing they're doing it. People just can't believe sometimes in something that they haven't never seen for themselves. There is more in the report if you want to look it up. It's on the BFRO website under sightings. Report number 26604. Now, this next sighting comes out of Anchorage from February of 2004. The witness states that him and a couple of his friends were sitting around the house bored when they decided to take their snowmobiles out for a ride. They had some good trails north of the city and that it's illegal to ride in Anchorage. So he states that they took off about 11 p.m. They rode up the road about a quarter of a mile or so when they cut off onto some trails. He says it had snowed about 10 inches a day or two before, so there were fresh snow with no tracks. They rode for about a half an hour before stopping and talking. He says they took off again, cruising on what they thought was a game trail. When they came upon an opening in the woods, he rode off into the clearing with his friends about 50 yards behind. As he came over a little mound, he saw some strange tracks in the snow. It looked like something had pushed up the snow and laid down. He figured it might be a moose or something, so he followed the tracks over the next small hill. And as he came down the other side, he says his headlights pointed right onto the back of a Bigfoot. It was running in the other direction. He slammed on his brakes because he described himself as being scared out of his mind. It continued to run away, he says. He saw it jump over a dead log covered in snow. As he continued to watch it, it disappeared into a group of trees and into the darkness. He was surprised and scared, so he quickly turned around and rode back towards his friends. He came up to his friends and told them that they need to get out of here. So they all headed home. Once close to the house, they stopped and he told them what he had seen. They laughed and told him it was probably just a bear or something. But he was 100% positive that it wasn't a bear. The way it was moving through the deep snow told him it wasn't anything human. They all told him he was crazy, so he doesn't talk about it anymore with anyone. So what do you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all our latest videos. Next up is a news article from November the 22nd, 2016 by Courtney. You might be surprised to learn that Bigfoot has been spotted at these 13 eerie locations in Alaska. Bigfoot, aka Sasquatch, is a mythological being that many have claimed to see in the backcountry roaming wild in the forest. These eerie unknown creatures have been reported to be exceptionally large in stature, with a resemblance to a hairy ape, while the Pacific Northwest seems to be home to the majority of these sightings. The Last Frontier actually has a long record of reported Bigfoot detections that date back to the early 1900s. From massive unexplained footprints that are triple that of a grizzly bear, to trees turned upside down with their roots sticking out into the air in the middle of the woods. These sightings are way too eerie and distinct to ignore the obvious. Number 1. Peterson. There were stories told from 1900 to 1925 about a trapper that went into the woods and disappeared shortly after reporting exceptionally large tracks in the snow. The strangest story ever told by Virginia Culp documents this incredibly eerie encounter in further detail. Number 2. Ruby. In 1943, it was reported that a man was attacked by an unknown creature in the wilderness, about 18 miles down the Yukon from the town of Ruby. He later died of internal injuries, and the creature that attacked him, presumably Bigfoot, was said to be ran off by his dog team. Number 3. Bristol Bay. In 1940, near the town of Kaluka, a group of ladies was berry picking when they reportedly came upon a large man-like creature with long hair running down his back. They later went on to capture this creature, caged it, and fed it. It later died, and the story was documented in a letter from the cage keeper. Number 4. Wrangell Narrows. I hope I pronounced that right. In 1942, a man was sitting on the beach when he reportedly saw a massive 7-foot tall creature that was hairy and rummaging through the woods. Number 5. Fort Yukon. The year was 1969 when a man reported shooting an abundantly large, hairy man-like creature that was not human while out moose hunting. Number 6. Galena. In 1960s, there were multiple sightings of a huge Bigfoot-type creature rummaging in the woods near the tiny village. The creature was quick on his feet each time and didn't allow himself to be seen for too much time. Pasadena. Number 7. In 1970, many people in the village reported seeing an enormous creature passing swiftly through the night. Number 8. Ketchikan. I hope I pronounced that one right as well. This southeast town holds some pretty wild tales of the past. In 1956, about 50 miles southwest of Ketchikan, a man that was out fishing reported seeing an 8-foot tall creature that was around 400 pounds and walked on 2 feet like an ape. There was also a young boy that reported a similar sighting nearby in 1960 and reacted to the encounter by screaming and running off as fast as possible. Number 9. Nolito. In 1920, a local man died in this area after unsuccessfully trying to fight off a massive creature that he described as standing on 2 feet and being human-like. Number 10. Kobuk River. The year was 1966 when a man near Dale Creek found large man-like tracks near his mining camp. One day he approached the creature and shot it. Afterward, he described it as being like a huge man-like bear that was enormous in size and walked on 2 feet. Number 11. Nilchina Plateau. In the 1930s, locals were shocked when a Bigfoot creature killed one of the locals by tearing him to complete shreds. They later described the creature as a cannibal giant. Number 12. Port Canham, also known as Portlock. This eerie small village on the Kenai Peninsula was home to so many Bigfoot sightings that the entire population eventually fled due to the overwhelming amount of fear. For a period of time during the 1900s, torn up bodies were washing up on the shores of this small village, making the people believe they had to be the evil Sasquatch spirits that roamed the woods nearby. Number 13. Wrangell. Multiple Bigfoot sightings occurred in this area during the early 1900s. One includes a man that was berry picking in the woods and was awakened by the sounds of a massive man-like creature having a conversation nearby. Another story in this area is about a tall Bigfoot creature that actually ended up carrying a 3-year-old back to her home after she wandered off into the woods. without anyone noticing her. I hope you liked that article, and if you have any comments, please feel free to drop them below. Bigfoot sightings of New Jersey. Yes, I said New Jersey. I know it sounded funny to me as well, but since the 1950s, there have been 71 reported sightings in the state. And like most people, I never heard of them until I started going state by state looking for sightings and evidence of these creatures. I always thought that New Jersey was the home of the devil, the Jersey Devil, that is. I've heard stories of the Jersey Devil since I was a child, but never of a Bigfoot sighting. So, with that said, let's see what we can find out from New Jersey. This first report comes out of Burlington County from December 27, 2005. This is the follow-up investigative report from the BFRO website. Spoke with the witness that submitted the report over the phone on January 11, 2006. I also spoke with the witness's girlfriend over the phone on January 13, 2006. The following details can be added. The girlfriend was the first to see the animal cross the dirt road. She said the animal moved very fast across the road. She did not make out any facial details, but she remembers seeing the legs moving as it ran in a bipedal fashion. She also noticed that the hair was a sandy or tan color and was longer around the head and shoulders area. The witness that submitted the report did not believe his girlfriend at first. He originally thought she had seen a deer and decided to leave the vehicle to check the area where the animal was just seen. Upon approaching the area, he noticed a dark face peering out from the underbrush from a distance of 25 feet. The face looked black and had a very ape-like appearance. He did not trust his eyes to what he was seeing, so he shook his head to clear his vision. Upon opening his eyes, the animal rose up to a full stance and started to run on two legs deeper into the pine forest. He noted that the height of the animal was between 6.5 feet to 7 feet tall. The hair all over the body was a sandy tan color, but not as light as a deer, and longer around the head and shoulders. The animal was not huge, but had a very muscular build. The witness told me he is a weightlifter and the animal was much larger than him. The area in which the encounter took place is predominantly pine forest and mixed underbrush. There is an abundance of berry shrubs and the deer are plentiful. It would be very easy for a nocturnal and intelligent animal to stay hidden and survive in this part of New Jersey. With that being the end of the report, ever since I started researching New Jersey sightings, I just can't help thinking, why New Jersey? Why would a Bigfoot leave the mountains which they seem to follow and love? Then I thought about ranking leadership. Could it be these Bigfoots that are being seen in New Jersey and other places have been kicked out for some reason? Maybe they challenged the leader and lost or won. The ones that are being seen are the losers, not able to be in their territory anymore, so they wander down to the lowlands where they are spotted every now and then. Maybe. Or maybe the young males are just starting out on their own. Being of a curious nature, they are just exploring the world, searching for a female in which to start their own family, or pack, some would say. So what do you think? Drop me a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with our new videos. This next report also comes out of Burlington County from March the 18th, 2010. This is the sighting report that was filed. I was returning from one of my research areas in the Pine Barrens with a friend of mine. We had spent a few hours out in the forest on this cold and damp night, trying to elicit a response from a Sasquatch. We had zero activity, and due to the declining weather conditions, I decided to wrap it up for the night around 12:35 a.m. We packed up our gear and began the drive homeward. We had just crossed a main road entering back into civilization and were discussing music when something came charging out from the front right side of the road. I was traveling at around 50 miles an hour and got on my brakes hard. Luckily, I had anti-lock brakes and avoided skidding, and I barely missed hitting the creature. My friend was holding a bottle of water between her legs, and when I braked, she slid forward and the water sprayed all over her. She said, "What was that?" And I replied, "Deer." And she said, "No, it wasn't." I then realized that what I had just seen was not a deer or a dog, bear, or human dressed in a costume. It had no muzzle, tail, or pointed ears, and the legs were thicker than mine. It ran hunched over and appeared to propel itself faster by pumping its arms. Just as it looked like it was about to be hit, it turned its upper body and looked at us with an expression of shock, as if it knew it had messed up. It never broke stride and continued running across the road and into the woods across the street. I slowed my vehicle and made a U-turn, returning to the spot. I got out of my car and tried to listen to hear anything moving through the brush. I didn't hear anything, and I couldn't smell anything either. I checked for tracks alongside the road, but did not see any. That's the end of the filed report. I would like to read you some of the follow-up investigating report. I'm not going to do the whole report, just part of it. The encounter happened just as he reported above. Other points of interest Eric and I can add is that there was a dead deer in the center of the road a short distance down from where the individual ran out from. Even hunched over, this individual was 2.5 to 3 feet above the hood of his car. The hair color was reddish blonde and roughly 3 to 4 inches in length, and was flowing with the speed it was moving. The hair did not appear to be matted down. No additional facial details, as the incident happened so fast. There are a couple reports from this area of an animal that matches his description. The friend who was his passenger that night saw the same thing as he did, and she too believes it was nothing other than a Sasquatch. The two of them have been out in the Pine Barrens together doing research for many years. This next sighting also comes out of Burlington County. This sighting happened on June the 20th, 2019. I'm going to be going over the BFRO follow-up investigation by Eric Spinner. I conducted a 45-minute phone interview with Mike, and he restated the events of June the 20th as he reported above. He was also able to provide me with some additional information regarding the events leading up to his encounter and also following it. We made plans to meet at the location in order to do a full recreation of the encounter and to learn more details. fellow New Jersey BFRO investigators Art Monk and Heather Passetti joined me with the recreation on site, and Mike was waiting for us when we arrived. After introductions, I hopped into Mike's SUV and we began the recreation. I had my GoPro on the dashboard and my H2N digital recorder going, and maintained radio contact with Art and Heather. We did one pass with the vehicle and determined that Heather needed to be a bit closer to the side of the road on the return portion. So we proceeded to do a second pass. Initially, when Mike was driving down the road, he was looking to the right and caught a glimpse of what he thought was a groundhog, but then turned his head to look left just as the individual stood up. His immediate thought was, "That's one huge groundhog." Then as he kept driving, he began questioning what it was and battled with the decision to turn around or to keep going. He decided to use the next available spot to turn around, and after checking that no oncoming cars was approaching, he headed back to where he spotted it. He rounded the bend, and about 70 yards ahead of him was the juvenile Bigfoot standing on the side of the road facing him. When he got to about 35 yards away, he locked eyes with it and was able to see only dark brown eyes, no whites of the eyes, and that's when it turned and took off running in the direction of the swamp. He slowed his vehicle to almost a stop by where it was standing only moments before, and saw it go behind some bushes. He then turned his vehicle around again and pulled up to the parking area on the right and stopped. He waited a few minutes but could no longer see it, so he left. After we did the recreation, we took measurements of the individual's height and shoulder width and determined that it was closer to 4 foot tall and about 18 inches across the shoulders and chest. He described the arms as thin, the chest not overly developed, and the legs were stockier, more muscular. He also confirmed that the hair was more auburn in color and about 3 to 4 inches in length. He mentioned how we had severe storms move through the area that evening and how they were moving in an easterly direction as to hamper his commute from work. He was surprised to see that the fur appeared to be dry, but somewhat matted. I found Mike to be a credible witness, and he was very clear with his reporting of the event. He previously had not been into the Bigfoot phenomena and had not even seen an episode of Finding Bigfoot. He really thought he would hear that some kid in a Halloween costume went missing in the area, but after a few days without seeing any reports of one, he realized that he had seen a juvenile Bigfoot. A rare sight to see indeed, and meeting with us helped to validate his experience. The area where this occurred is a former cranberry bog, land that has now been preserved by the state for recreational use. It is rich in flora and fauna and has numerous lakes and streams. It is an area that I have conducted research in for over the past decade, and I recorded my first wood knocks and found my first juvenile track impressions nearby. We stayed after Mike left and conducted further research near the location. We used a Phantom 4 drone to conduct aerial surveillance of the area as well as a thermal imagery. We were able to elicit response from coyotes and barned owls, and also recorded some higher pitched screams that may have been a fox or maybe even a Sasquatch. Now that's the end of that report. This article comes from the Burlington County Times. It's by columnist J.D. Mullen and was posted May the 10th of 2018. Titled, When Bigfoot is Spotted in South Jersey, He's on the Case. Eric Spinner investigates Bigfoot sightings in New Jersey. The latest occurred on April 7th, and he said he deemed it credible. The report that Bigfoot was spotted in the woods of Manchester came on April the 7th, and the next day Eric Spinner, an investigator with the Bigfoot Field Research Organization, was on the case. We met with the witness and recreated the scene, said Spinner, a Bigfoot enthusiast who owns Health Haven 2, a health food store in Medford. A couple claimed to have seen a large, hairy creature leap across a road in the Brendan T. Bryan State Forest. Spinner and another BFRO investigator interviewed the couple. We found their story credible, he said. That's because a seasoned Bigfoot sleuth such as Spinner, 52, can spot red flags indicating fake Bigfoot news. When people say wild things like it was 10 feet tall or it had fangs, I know it's probably not true, he said. The couple told Spinner they were near swamplands, not far off Route 70, when the woman, who was driving, glanced in the rearview mirror. She saw this thing running and leap across the entire road, Spinner said. She said it looked like a ballerina, the way the legs were splayed. The couple, who wished to remain anonymous, stopped the car. They heard something crashing through brush followed by a splash, presumably when it, whatever it was, jumped into the swamp. And that was the encounter, Spinner said. Spinner and his BFRO colleague recreated the leaping Bigfoot, seen at the approximate location of the sighting, with the woman's husband playing the part of Bigfoot, he said. We had him try to run across the road and leap. He could barely make a quarter way across, he said. To Spinner, there is no question of the existence of Bigfoot, also called Sasquatch, the large, hairy monster-like thing said to inhabit the remote forests of North America, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. He has been interested in the creature since he was a kid on Long Island, New York, where he saw the 1975 docudrama Sasquatch Legend of Bigfoot. For a month I didn't sleep well. I thought a hairy arm was going to come through the window and grab me. Moving to South Jersey in his teens, he never gave Bigfoot much thought. But in 2006, he stumbled across the BFRO website. His interest was rekindled. It was the same year he said he encountered the creature on a Sasquatch expedition in the Allegheny State Forest in Pennsylvania. He was camping with another researcher at a place where a Bigfoot had been thermed, that is, detected on a thermal sensor. In the early hours of the morning, he heard something approach his tent. It crouches down, I can hear it breathing, and the next thing I know, there's a hand pressing on the fabric of my tent. Not a bear. A bear has claws. And it would have cut my tent. My heart was pounding. A vehicle approached, and the thing took off through the camp, leaping over a fire ring and vanishing into the brush. I can hear it crashing into the woods, he said. 3 years later, he encountered more Bigfoots in British Columbia. We had activity every night, he said. Since then, he has conducted his own research, leading expeditions throughout New Jersey, recording screams, tree structures, rock clacking, and tree knocking, all said to be telltale signs that Bigfoot is near. I probably have more boots on the ground experience investigating Bigfoot than most people on the eastern side of the United States, he said. In his shop, he displays a plaster cast of a Bigfoot, which he believes is from a Bigfoot he found on the bank of the Militia River near Chatsworth. Bigfoot's a flesh and blood creature, Spinner said. I believe it's a primate. I think they're a hominid, probably a blend of ape and man. He, like his fellow enthusiasts, believes the Bigfoot giganto theory, which states that Bigfoot is a remnant of another age. It may be related to Gigantopithecus, a large ape that crossed the Bering Land Bridge into North America 10,000 years ago and has been hiding out ever since, including in New Jersey. Since the early 1950s, there have been 69 reported Bigfoot sightings in New Jersey, 13 of them in Burlington County, according to the BFRO website. The earliest case is from a woman who recalled encountering Bigfoot as a child while on a Girl Scout camping trip near Chatsworth in 1952 or 53. Other sightings were reported in Medford in March of 2010, in Crosswicks in the fall of 2003, off the Garden State Parkway in New Gretna in 1998, and near the Wading Pines campground in Chatsworth in May of 2013. The Pine Barrens offer everything they need: food, water, cover, he said. Probably you have nothing to fear from Bigfoot. There has never been a report of a Sasquatch eating a human being. They really don't want to antagonize us, he said. They're shy. In the pines, with every breath you take and every move you make, Bigfoot will be watching you. That's the end of the article. So tell me, do you think Bigfoot is roaming the pine barrens of New Jersey? Or do you think it's just a misidentification of some other animal? And what about the Jersey Devil? Are they really there? I'll be doing a video on the devil later on. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below to keep up with all of our latest videos. This week we hit North Carolina to go over sightings there. This first sighting comes out of Alexander County from June the 12th, 2013 near Taylorsville. This is the follow-up report by BFRO investigator Larry Sidewell. I spoke with the witness by phone a few weeks after he spotted this animal. He was very observant of what he saw. In the short time he had visual on the Sasquatch and was able to recall lots of details. The witness was traveling with his family late afternoon about 4:30 p.m. He was driving and heading east on Sharp Mill Road in Alexander County, North Carolina, very near the Iredell County line. Sharp Mill Road turns into Damascus Church Road after crossing into Iredell County. The area is mixed patches of woods and farmland and is on the eastern foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. The witness looked to the north and spotted a large, hairy biped crossing a power line cut. It was approximately 150 to 200 yards away at the top of the ridge. He estimated the height at 7 to 9 feet. He also described it as being thin and lanky. The animal was traveling very quickly between two patches of woods that the power lines bisected. It was not running, but seemed to glide as it walked. He noticed that it had long 6-inch reddish brown hair over its entire body. He could not make out any facial features or head shape. It looked down and was hunched over the entire time he viewed it. He noticed it had extremely long arms, almost to its knees, and was walking with palms forward and with long arm swings. The entire encounter lasted between 8 and 10 seconds. The witness told his family after seeing it that, "I think I saw a Bigfoot." He turned the car around to go back and look, but by the time he returned, it had gone into the woods. The witness was absolutely positive about what he saw. He had great recollection of the sighting and was very credible. No one else in the car viewed the Sasquatch. He has not told anyone but me and his family of the sighting. That area of Alexander County is very rural, with woods and farms. There is a lot of agriculture with apple orchards, cattle, and chicken farms. Wildlife is abundant with a large population of deer, wild turkeys, and other small mammals. Outs Creek is the major waterway in this area of the county. It is dammed in two spots to form small lakes. Now that was the end of the report. This next report comes out of Yancey County. The sighting happened on August the 21st of 2011 in the Pisgah National Forest, Black Mountain Campground area. This is the follow-up report by BFRO investigator Kevin Zork. I interviewed RS by phone on December the 2nd, 2011 for approximately 1.5 hours. RS indicated that he and two friends were camping in the Pisgah National Forest at the Black Mountain Campground on August 20th and 21st of 2011. RS describes their campsite as being remote from a cluster of other occupied campsites, separated by an estimated 100 feet from other campers and up towards a ridge. Terrain was composed of rolling hills, average tree growth, ferns, poison ivy, and a nearby stream near a ravine. Deer were observed previously in the park by the group, although none were viewed near the sighting area. During the evening of August 20th, RS indicates that while he and his friends were engaged in typical campfire activities, they all heard numerous unidentified animal-type vocalizations during the evening. The sound started low in volume and tone, and ended in a higher, louder character described by RS as sounding angry. Later, RS states that one of his companions observed a large figure moving through the woods, close to the campground, by the ambient light of the fire. RS was asleep during this event and does not recall any details. RS states that on August the 21st, 2011, his two companions left to hike to Mount Mitchell. The weather was sunny, skies clear, and temperature was around 80 degrees. RS was unable to complete this hike with his friends and decided to stay at the camp. At approximately 2 p.m., he decided to take a short walk alone on a trail close to camp. RS proceeded approximately 200 yards from his sight and suddenly observed a large 7 to 8 foot bipedal animal walking from his right, proceeding across a clear area to the left across his path. RS described the animal as weighing 3 to 500 pounds, possessing 3 to 4 foot wide shoulders like an NBA player, covered in dark brown, straggly, and matted 6-inch long hair. The animal proceeded in a casual manner, employed an estimated 8-foot stride, and arms swayed slower than leg movement. The animal stopped. RS stopped, and they stared at each other from a distance of 35 to 65 feet away. RS states that at this distance he was unable to determine any significant facial features, but the face was the same color as the hair. He relates that he was terrified and the experience scared him tremendously. During the 15 to 30-second stare, RS made the following observations. Head shape was described as semi-conical, but not distinctly pointed. No visible neck was observed. Arms were described as long, hairy, hands extended to its knees. RS did not look at or observe the feet. Legs were muscular. RS felt the animal exhibited a demeanor of indifference. The animal did not appear to be engaged in any specific activity except travel. The animal was the first to break the stare and resumed moving through the wooded area, away from RS. No associated animal tracks or impressions were found after the event. During this interview, I found RS to be a credible observer and witness. I feel it is highly probable that the animal RS observed on August 21st, 2011 was a Bigfoot. End of report. There are a lot of news articles coming out of North Carolina this year, so let's take a look at them. This article came out in September 10th, 2019. The title of the story is Bigfoot in North Carolina. Man says he caught video proof west of Charlotte by Kimberly Johnson, Patchstaff. Now, I'm not going to read the whole article on this one because it goes on for a little bit, but I am just going to go over the sighting part. Doug Teague, and I hope I got your name right. If not, I apologize right now. Who is an avid Bigfoot hunter and member of the Catawba Valley Bigfoot Believers, said he took the video earlier last month when he was in the woods retrieving game cameras. On the way out of the woods, I heard a couple of knocks. Just put it off as a woodpecker. Didn't think much of it. Then a rock was thrown and rolled down the hill. Tig said in a video posted on the group's page detailing the incident. Tig lives in McDowell County, about 100 miles west of Charlotte. As Tig walked along in the woods, his dog Daisy ran in the direction of the thrown rock, and he pulled out his phone and took a video. Then, he said, another rock was thrown, and to his right, he heard numerous loud grunts. It definitely got my attention, he said. Another rock was thrown, this time from the left, he said. That's about the time he said he saw something kneel down behind a stump. The object was very black with a pretty silver sheen to it, and it just sat there. Every now and then you could see it move. At one point, the creature turned its head, and Tig said it was then he saw the profile. It was awesome because it does look like a gorilla, he said. You can see chin, nose, forehead. He said he saw it stand upright, reaching a height about 7 to 8 feet tall. Then it walked over the hill. The experience left Tig feeling like a giddy school kid, he told WCNC. According to the Hickory Daily Record, Tig has hunted the legendary Bigfoot in western North Carolina for about a decade, often bringing along moon pies, turnips, or granola bars to use as bait. Now that's all I'm going to read of this article. And this next article comes from Coast to Coast titled Bigfoot Prints Found in North Carolina. This article came out in October 9th, 2019. An electrician in North Carolina recently stumbled upon a series of sizable prints that left him wondering if they may have been created by Bigfoot. According to a local media report, the remarkable discovery occurred as Joe Scarborough was working on a job at a residence in the town of Caesar, and he noticed the odd tracks outside the home. The bewildered observer initially suspected that perhaps the large prints had came from a human, marveling to himself that somebody's got a big foot. However, when Scarborough looked closer at the tracks, he was struck by the sheer size of the impressions, noting that they seemed to measure 13 or 14 inches long. To his credit, the quick-thinking electrician went back to his truck and grabbed a tape measure so that he could properly document this strange find. Based on how some small plants were intermingled with the prints, Scarborough surmised that the tracks were relatively fresh. Remarkably, it would seem that the discovery has turned Scarborough into something of a Bigfoot hunter, as he now plans to return to the residence to investigate the matter further. I'm going to spend a night, he revealed. I'm going to take some game cameras and see what happens. I mean, why not? Well, it would seem that Scarborough is hoping that the prints really did come from a Bigfoot. He conceded that there may be some shenanigans at play, musing that you don't know how many hoaxes are out there. Scarborough's possible Sasquatch prints are yet another in what has become a spat of North Carolina Bigfoot cases that have made the news in recent weeks, including a pair of potential photos of the creature, as well as a woman who believed that the famed cryptid had been lurking in her backyard. Taken together, one might almost say that there is some kind of flap unfolding in the state. So that's the end of the article. So what did you guys think about these sightings and findings? Drop me a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all our latest videos. I think that 2019 has been a very good year for Bigfoot researchers, at least North Carolina this year. There are many more articles out there if you want to check them out just from North Carolina. I had another article from North Carolina in a previous video about Bigfoot, so check that one out as well. With the rash of sightings in North Carolina this year, there is just no way I can cover every article in this video. So we may have to revisit North Carolina on a later video. So I want to jump back over to another sighting report from the BFRO website. This report comes out of Onslow County from 2005, February. The sighting happened at Camp Lejeune Military Base. This is the follow-up investigation report by BFRO investigator Tommy Poland. I spoke in length with the witness by the telephone, and he was able to provide a few more details. The creature was on one knee to the right of his position and near the other dug-in foxhole positioned near his location. He said he had a friend that used to play football and he was about 6'7" tall, and this creature was considerably larger. It stood up on two legs and just continued to look at him and his partner as it started walking between the two foxholes and started down the hill. He said it was not moving very fast at all, but calm and confident, like he owned the place. He said it was covered in very thick dark brown to black hair, and when it turned to look back at them, its whole upper body would move instead of just its neck and head. They were able to get a good look at the creature because there was a full moon and the creature was in the clearing near their foxholes. There were four other witnesses, his partner in the foxhole with him, his sergeant, and two other Marines who were in the other foxholes. After the incident, all who saw it discussed it and no one knew what it was. Also noted was an unusual smell. He couldn't really describe it, but could only say it was very strong. This witness told me he had been out of the Marine Corps for the past 2 years and was recounting what he saw. I did ask about the others, but he was not sure how to get in contact with them. But he told me if he ever did, he would have them to contact us. In my 5 years of doing this research, he was one of my better phone interviews. I do believe what he saw was real. He was fairly adamant about it. Hopefully, the others will see his report on our website and come forward with some more details. Now that's the end of the follow-up report. So what do you think? Is Bigfoot creatures getting more bold? Or are we just able to capture more sightings due to all the technology of the times? One thing's for sure, keep those cameras rolling. You never know what you might just catch out there. This first sighting report comes out of Randolph County. I'm just going to say the summer of 2016 due to there were two sightings by the same person over 2 to 3 months. The witness states that on July the 21st that he was cutting grass on his nephew's place on Gaddy Road, and that around 8:30 he heard a Bigfoot start yelling from a nearby point. He said that he knows what they sound like because he had seen one when he was 12 years old, and that he has had three other sightings over the past few years, mainly due to him spending a lot of time in the woods. Due to this, he has earned the nickname of Daniel Boone from a lot of his friends. With being out in the woods so much, he claims to have heard these creatures a lot over the years. Now, on September the 11th, he was at the old farm that his grandfather once owned, and now his nephew owns it. He said he keeps some trout in an old spring barrel at one of the springs on the property now. So he says he went to feed the trout, and that when he got there, the cows was around the spring drinking. So he was walking up to the spring when he noticed two big footprints in the soft mud around the spring. So he ran off the cows and went to get some casting mix. He cast the right print, but said he couldn't cast the left due to it was slanted and the mix would just run out of it. There was another print, but it had only 4 toes. He didn't have enough plaster to cast it, so he put some sticks up and covered it up to help keep the cattle out until he could get even more plaster to finish the job. Now here are some photos that shows the cast and some dimensions on them. This one he's holding is 19.5 inches long, 6 inches wide at the heel, 7 inches at the mid-torso, 8 inches at the ball of the foot, and 9 inches at the toes. Now I'm showing more of the photos from the website of the BFRO. Now if anything sticks out to you on these photos, please let me know. Drop me a comment down below. There is one photo in here I want to point out. This picture seems to show a big hairy creature in between some trees. And it looks ape-like, but bigger to me than a regular ape. So what do you think? He seems to do a good job documenting his sightings. Now that's it for this one. So you guys stay safe, have a great week, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification button as well so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. And thanks for watching those endless mysteries.